could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more?
Good afternoon, race fans. Welcome here as we are in the beautiful, lovely hills of Connecticut, getting ready for our final road course stop of the season. This is Lime Rock Raceway. We've been here ever since season 1. It's pretty much been a mainstay here as the 31st race of the season, and we're getting closer and closer to finding out who's going to be the Season 5 Duracell Cup Series champion. This is playoff race number 5. It is the middle race of the round of 8, and this is pretty much here today going to set the table into what our scenarios look like of the two teams that would be next to be eliminated when we get to Arizona Speedway next week. But here today, 30 laps of racing, going to be a little bit longer of a race than we've had here in the past at this road course. And with that being said, pit strategy could come into play in the closing stages. Before we take a look at our starting lineup and whatnot, let's give you what the playoff points look like coming into this race off the heels of last week's first race of this round of 8. And you will see that obviously there are a couple of teams that are sitting in a pretty good position. There are some other teams that they're not doing quite so well. Hillside certainly left its mark as the 09 team. They were the highest. They were the only team, I believe, that finished either was up inside the top 10 or just outside the top 10, but they were leaps and bounds above everybody else of the remaining playoff contending teams based off their finishing position. They right now would be sitting a total of 24 points ahead of the cut line. Decent outings by the 8 team, the 47 team, the 77 team. The 78 team managed to finish on the lead lap, so they're 7 points ahead of the cut line, but it gets really, really congested down there from 6th, 7th, 8th. You've got 4-point separation from the Smart Motorsports entry to the 19 team. That, of course, as well, is the team that defending champion Carson Gum drives for. We mentioned the fact that the other 3 previous champions outside of Carson Gum, that being Dollarton, Ryan Acosta, Jordan Lopez, none of them ended up making it into the playoffs. Carson Gum's the only one that's got a shot at being a multi-time champion. Right now, they are below the cut line, as is their teammates in the 31 team. They right now are also sitting in the 8th seed, and right now it would be 4 points behind the cut line for the 19 team, 6 points behind the cut line for the 31 team. Things aren't going to get easier for them here today either, because both of those teams, the 31 and the 19, are starting 28th and 29th on the starting grid, and usually at a road course, track position is everything, unless pit strategy comes into play. That is always possible, but that's the way your playoff points look like coming into this race. Is on the pole position. I believe this might be his first pole of his Duracell Cup Series career. That's going to be Andrew Lemke in the number 12 out of Evans Gardner Motorsports. He'll be alongside of Jesse Turner. Turner, of course, a playoff contender with that 47 team, came into this race in the 3rd seed and I believe 8 points ahead of the cut line. So we'll see if the good starting track position maybe put the 47 in victory lane for the 2nd time this season. Turner, Turner looking for his first win on the season. 47 got its victory with Stephen Colon back near the end of the regular season. In row 2 is where we'll find Daniel Silla. That 44 team continues to be up there towards the front week after week, whether it's Silla, Fogelman, or Washer behind the wheel. That young team really making its statement here. Of course, a winning team this season with Fogelman as well. They'll be alongside of Pedro Lucas. Lucas, a very good road course racer, and he rolls off on the outside of row number 2. That No Limits Racing team, you just keep feeling that they're moments away from getting their first win on the season. There's been great runs by Lucas, Rodrigo, and I just blanked out, Harumi, and today may be the day. We'll have to wait and see, and then making up the completion of the top 5 is going to be our Daytona 500 winning driver, Matt Haas, of course, the 8 team, 2nd seed right now in the point standings, and 10 points ahead of the cut line. As a matter of fact, there was a point when Matt Haas had a teammate, Diego Yepes, and Yepes ended up taking a checkered flag here back in the very first season of Duracell Cup Series competition. So, it'd be interesting to follow that 8 car during the course of this race. But it's time to go down trackside. It's time to get those most famous words in motorsports, but not before the singing of today's national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Drivers, start your engines.
Pace car is going to lead the 29 car field off of the grid on the front straightaway. Track just a little over 1.5 miles in length, and as they make their way around, we'll give you your starting lineup for today's race at Lime Rock. Andrew Lemke, your pole sitter. Jesse Turner will be alongside of him in 2nd. Daniel Silla, Pedro Lucas in row 2. Row 3, we'll find Matt Haas and Trey Wright. Kyle Matthews, Keith Batson in row 4. Row 5, Michael Wayne Robinson and Austin LaPlante completing your top 10. Not sure why we're having a little bit of stuttering there. Try and figure that out. Row 6 will find Patrick Smith and Joshua Osborne, Tim Walsh and Levi McIntyre in row 7, Ryan Butcher, James Qualls, row 8. Row 9, Amanda Evans and Benny Watson, the defending winner of this race. Jack Mitchell, Nick Gunther make up the completion of the top 20. Charles Sanford and Dylan Young are in row 11. Carter Friesen, former winner here back from season 3. He'll make up row 12 with Cody Lamas. Cole Baker, Cody Smart back in row 13. Row 14, Phil Parker and Dylan Poteet. And bringing up the final spot here today will be Carson Gum. Not sure about that stutter there that we're seeing. That kind of concerns me a little bit. Hopefully it settles out. If it doesn't, we may take a commercial break, try and figure out what's going on, but we'll give it a moment, see if it does indeed settle out. Nothing was going on like this when we had testing, so we'll wait and see. Mentioned about 2 former winners from this event. The past 2 winners in the field, Carter Friesen and Benny Watson. Diego Yepes was the inaugural winner of this race back in Season 1. And Season 2, it was Marcus Sachi, driving the number 21 FedEx Chevrolet, that took the checkered flag. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that was, I think he was driving at the time for Michael Norman Motorsports. Chevrolet has 3 victories here. 1 win for Toyota. Ford and Dodge still looking for their first checkered flag in the history of this road course. Here we go, playoff race number 5 about to get underway here at one of the toughest road courses on the schedule. Andrew Lemke gonna lead us down, and we are underway at Lime Rock. Heavy braking zone, sweeping right-hander. Lemke looks to clear Turner, not quite able to do it. Turner will battle back through the S's. But right there, that right-hander I think is going to give Lemke the advantage he needs, and he will clear for the top spot. It'll now be Daniel Silla and Jesse Turner to battle for second, and Lemke will look to open up as much distance as he can over this battle. Matt Haas getting around for 4th position on Pedro Lucas as they take it into the sharp right-hander down the hill around the fastest corner here at Lime Rock, headed for the front straightaway. And Andrew Lemke will lead lap number 1. 3rd place under contest, Matt Haas there on the bumper of Jesse Turner. A couple of playoff contending teams there duking it out for the final spot on the podium. Behind them, Pedro Lucas trying to hold off Kyle Matthews. Another playoff team there, the 09. Runner-up finish last week for, I think it was a runner-up finish. Yes, it was, for Caleb Fogler at Hillside. Puts that 09 team in a good position to maybe advance into the round of 6, but Matthews got into the gravel there, heading up towards what originally was a bus stop corner, but they've basically eliminated the bus stop and just made it a long straightaway. Didn't lose any positions though. Keith Batson was closing in, but not able to take advantage as he's running in P8, and then behind them, you got the 77 of Patrick Smith. That team 4th in the current playoff standings, and right behind him, Michael Wayne Robinson, the 93. Of course, last week, the 93 car going to victory lane with Andrew Davis. Michael Wayne Robinson, now the only driver that is yet to pick up a victory this season in the 93 car for KB Racing Enterprises. Both of his teammates, William Micros and Andrew Davis, have gone to victory lane. Micros back at Manassas and Davis last week. Kyle Matthews makes his way around Pedro Lucas. That was for, I believe, 6th. Batson looks to get 7th, and he will do so. Matt Haas has now made the pass on Jesse Turner, so move him up to 3rd, as Daniel Silla looks to close up the gap between himself and Andrew Lemke, about 0.7 of a second, and last time by, their lap times were fairly equal. About 8 1,000ths faster was Daniel Silla. That's not much. Let's drop back further here outside of the top 10. Last time by 13th place positions where we found Ryan Butcher. Ryan, a former road course winner back in, I believe it was season 2 when he drove the 24 for Northeast Motorsports. Had a victory at, was it the Pensacola road course if I recall correctly. And there's one of our former winners, Carter Friesen. Matter of fact, Carter Friesen, when he took the checkered flag back here in season 3, it was an automatic locked-in ticket into what was then the round of 8. And he, the previous round, had picked up a victory to advance into the round of 12. So far this season, we have gone 0 for 4 in a playoff driver going to victory lane here during the playoffs. And so far, it's really just coming down to drivers having to point their way into the next round. There's Cody Lamas right now in the 20th position, but looking at him and the fact that the last time these primary drivers were on the racetrack, it was Road America, and Cody Lamas picked up the victory, first of the season for him. So we might see Cody Lamas be able to make his way up here to the front, maybe win in back-to-back starts. Of course, Trent Dunham, his teammate, followed it up with a victory in that one car out of Michael Norman Motorsports at Indianapolis. And Michael Norman had a decent run last week. He finished 11th at Hillside, so a lot of momentum going the right direction for the one team as we're looking at Cody Smart in the 95. Right now, the cutoff line driver, 6th in the point standings, and it will be 6 drivers that will advance into the next round. Carson Gum making his way towards the front, started in the 29th position, now up to 25th, looking to hold off Dylan Young. Dylan Pote back here right now in dead last in the 29th position. Remember, the 31 and the 19, they're trying to get up there to the 95 because that is 6th, 7th, and 8th in your current points. Bit of a slip up there for Amanda Evans. Pedro Lucas will get around her for 10th. Ryan Butcher under fire from Austin LaPlante. That'd be for 12th place. And Evans wants the spot back from Lucas going down to turn 1. Amanda Evans, former road course winner in the Duracell non-charter series last season at the Indianapolis road course. So no surprise to see her doing well at the lefts and rights of this winding road course. Patrick Smith almost went off course there, battling with Michael Wayne Robinson for 8th, and now Keith Batson looks for 6th on Kyle Matthews. Not quite able to do it through what we call the twist. Lemke's got company, and it's not just Daniel Silla. Matt Haas has closed in as well. Mentioned the fact that the year that Diego Yepes ended up picking up the victory in season 1, Matt Haas was a teammate to him. I believe the team was called Second Chance Motorsports at the time. And are we under caution? No, we're not under caution. I thought the way they were braking heavily there into turn 1 that maybe they were slowing down, but no, we were still green. But nonetheless, Diego Yepes drove the 0 Citgo Chevrolet. Matt Haas drove the number 8 Speed Raceway Chevrolet. There were 2 other teammates. I believe one of them was the Cobalt number 5 Chevrolet of Jay Jefferson. I'm trying to remember who the other driver was. I might be wrong. I believe there was a number 4 car. I think it was sponsored by Petronas. And I can't for the life of me remember who that was. Might have been Marcus Sacchi, who eventually went on to win the following season. But I'm not certain if I'm correct in that driver or not. I remember the car, I just don't remember the driver. Now we saw that Dylan Pote was running 29th, which means that nobody has, at least at this point, run off course or run into an issue. They're all still in close proximity. That's something that we're not really used to seeing here at Lime Rock. Usually in the beginning stages, there's usually someone going off course off of turn 2 or down here into this right-hander, which I believe is turn 8. Usually somebody runs a little too wide and might get hooked down that hill there, heading down towards the sweeping right-hander. I do see some skid marks right there, though, off that final corner. And it may have been Carson Gum in the 19, who's got some rear-end damage now. NNSCRA split cam will show you what's happened there to the defending champion. And so Carson Gum now, he is going to, I don't know if he would hope for a caution to get us all bunched back up, or if he's just going to have to try and rely on some unorthodox pit strategy. But that is not what Carson Gum needed, especially with the fact that, remember back in the first round when we saw Anthony McCrory almost in a must-win situation at Indianapolis with the 55 team? Well, not the best of performances last week from Matthew Rodriguez. Carson Gum struggling here today at Lime Rock. Charles Belding, who will take over the driving duties next week at Arizona, may find the 19 team in a must-win situation. And just add to the pressure for Belding, that'd be a home track too. Belding, an Arizona native. Well, Daniel Silla is right there if Lemke makes a mistake. Matt Haas there also. And as these guys run nose to tail, Trey Wright, former Daytona 500 winner, may move in here also and make it a four-man fight for the top spot. Jesse Turner not that far behind also. This has been a pretty spirited battle between Kyle Matthews and Keith Batson for the 6th position. Of course, Kyle Matthews began the opportunity for the 09 to advance into the playoffs with his victory at Martinsville. Stephen Pollard III followed it up with a victory in the regular season finale at Auto Club. That all but locked them into the playoffs, and this team had the second best average finish in the first round of the playoffs, only to the 77 team out of AJR. And right now, they've got the best average finish in the second round of the playoffs off of Caleb Fogler's runner-up performance last week. Let's drop back here mid-pack, see how some of our other playoff contending teams are doing. Ryan Butcher still holding down the 13th position. Cody Smart right now in 19th place. Dylan Poteet has not made up a lot of progress here. Still struggling. Last time by scored in 27th, which means we've had another driver outside of Carson Gum have a problem. And that would be Jack Mitchell, who I do not see on track. Where is the 01? Is he on pit road? He is. He's on pit road, and this is not a regularly scheduled stop for that driver out of Adrenaline Motorsports. Well, Jack Mitchell, a former road course winner this season at the Daytona road course, and he is one lap down right now on pit road. Not certain what happened. If there was an incident, obviously you're seeing it, courtesy of the NSCRA split cam. Closing in on halfway through this race too, which will give us an idea of how far these guys can go on a tank of fuel and whether they could make it to the conclusion of this race with just one pit stop today. We've lost somebody, I think, up here. No, we have not. I thought we lost somebody up in the top 4, but everybody still appears to be under power up inside of our top 10. I think what kind of confused me was I thought that there was a car between Matt Haas and Trey Wright, and suddenly Trey Wright was in 4th, but Trey Wright's been in 4th this whole time. So that's an error on my part. Well, I'm making a lot of mistakes, aren't I? Last week I ended up saying that Andrew Davis advanced into the round of 6 with his victory at Hillside when the 93 team had been eliminated from the playoffs the week prior. A lot to keep track of, a lot of stats to keep track of. Jesse Turner, I thought for a moment, might end up getting reeled in by Kyle Matthews because Keith Batson made a bit of a mistake through the second half of the course, but he's thundering right back, and he's bringing Patrick Smith in the 77 along with him. Remember the last time that all these drivers were on the track, we ended up seeing the Auto Junction Racing teammates get together, Smith and Ryan Butcher at Road America. A lot of people were wondering, that was the second time we've seen those two particular drivers get together. The other time was back at Nashville. And a lot of people were wondering if they got into the same vicinity here today, would we continue to see that rivalry? It's strange enough to see a rivalry continue on the entire season, but to see it take place between teammates is even rarer. Right now, though, neither of them are close to each other, with Patrick Smith running in 8th and Ryan Butcher currently back outside the top 10 in 13th, and they have pushed the 0-1 of Jack Mitchell back behind the wall. So tough break there for Jack Mitchell and that 0-1 team. They will not reach the conclusion of this race. The other 28 drivers are still running at this point in time. But things are not looking good for the two teams that came into this race below the cut line, the 31 and the 19. They didn't qualify well. They qualified in the final 2 spots, and right now they are running the final 2 spots on the racetrack, 27th and 28th. So equally the pressure on Charles Belding next week for the 19 team. It's going to also be a lot of pressure for Ryan Brommer in the 31. Potential must-win situations for both of those teams out of Pigeon Racing. Pigeon Racing had 2 entries in the playoffs this season, and both, by the time the checker flag waves next week at Arizona, could be out of it. And if that is the case, that means we would be guaranteed a new champion in Duracell Cup Series competition. Mentioned earlier, Carson Gum, the only former champ that advanced into the postseason. I think it's go time for Daniel Silla. He keeps looking on Andrew Lemke. Couldn't make the move that time. I think if Lemke had gotten his left sides off into the gravel, Silla would have easily been able to complete the pass, but Daniel wants to go. Also, we should keep note of the fact that we have crossed the threshold of halfway, which means these drivers are going to make only 1 pit stop, and several of them are already on pit road. Tim Walsh, Charles Sanford, James Qualls, Benny Watson. That's Ryan Butcher in the 78 on pit road, playoff contender. Kyle Matthews just pit this lap, as did LaPlante, Friesen, Cody Lamas, Cody Smart, Nick Gunther, Joshua Osborne, and Cole Baker. Looks like Patrick Smith may have pit the lap prior. And I believe Daniel Silla, Matt Haas, what just happened to them? Oh, they just ran off course. No caution, but the 8 and the 44 have run off the racetrack, and I wonder if that might have been due to cars merging onto the racetrack in front of them off of turn 2. Looks like Lemke's coming in this time. Trey Wright's going to follow him. That's a tough break there for Daniel Silla and Matt Haas. Matt Haas, of course, a playoff contender, was looking like he could very easily, if he had finished up inside the top 5, could have had the 8 car already locked into the next round of the playoffs. Dylan Young's coming in this lap. McIntyre, Parker, Poteet. There's Ryan Butcher. He's going to come around, and I believe he's going to get his lap back here. Don't know where he's going to cycle around to, though. And here's Carson Gum on pit road. Carson's got some left side damage now also. I don't think he had that before. He just had rear end damage. I might be wrong. Patrick Smith, maybe the guy we watch here. See where he cycles around. There's all your leaders. I don't think Ryan Butcher took the lead. I think Ryan Butcher had a lengthy stay on pit road. I think Patrick Smith is the guy we're looking for in the 77. As Lemke leaving pit lane, let's see, where's the 77 car? There he is. Patrick might cycle out to 3rd. Well, right now 4th. Trying to take 3rd from Jesse Turner. So a lot shuffled up right there inside of your top 5, let alone your top 10. I think Lemke's still going to be the leader. Daniel Silla has still not made it back into the racetrack boundaries. He's against the steel guardrail, as is Matt Haas. That is considered off the racing surface for those wondering. That's why there is no full course yellow coming out. And I'm not certain just exactly where the opening is for those 2 cars to re-enter. They have fallen a lap down now. And so the hard work last week by Pierce Crone at Hillside, those points are going to more than likely be lost with Matt Haas's mistake, as Lemke does indeed cycle back to the lead. Trey Wright will be 2nd, Jesse Turner 3rd. Patrick Smith is now up to 4th off the strategy. And Kyle Matthews is going to complete the top 5. 6th place will be Keith Batson, his teammate Michael Wayne Robinson 7th. 8th, Amanda Evans. 9th, Carter Friesen, and Austin LaPlante is going to complete the top 10. Let's go via the full field rundown here after the cycle of green flag pit stops. The only time we should see these drivers on pit road today. 11th place was Charles Sanford, Tim Walsh 12th. 13th, Pedro Lucas, Cody Lamas 14th, Cody Smartin 15th, Nick Gunther 16th. 17th, James Qualls, Dylan Young 18th, 19th, Benny Watson, Joshua Osborne in 20th. Cole Baker is 21st, 22nd, Levi McIntyre, Phil Parker 23rd, Dylan Pote 24th. Ryan Butcher is 25th, lengthy stay for the 78, not certain of why. And Carson Gum runs in 26th, the last car on the lead lap. Right now, 2 laps down currently, and that may continue to increase if they're not able to make their way back into the racetrack boundaries. Daniel Silla in 27th, Matt Haas in 28th. Let's see if they have found their way back onto the track. I think they were in this area last time we checked, and yeah, I think they may have both finally made it back into the track. I didn't see them there against the outside wall, but they are right now multiple laps down in 27th, 28th. Jack Mitchell is the only driver out of the race in 29th position. Let's take a look at lap times between Andrew Lemke and Trey Wright. Lemke just ran his fastest lap of the race right there, 52.566. Trey Wright, 52.507. So he was a little bit faster than Andrew Lemke. Jesse Turner ran faster than the both of them, 52.237, his fastest lap of the race. Patrick Smith ran a 5.98, and Matthews, the slowest of the top 5, with a 7.81. Mention the fact that Chevrolet has 3 victories here. Toyota has 1. Ford so far a 0 in the win column at Lime Rock, and they've got 2 Mustangs right now in the podium. Let's see about lap times this time by. Let's look at the interval up on the top left as well. 1.38 was the gap before. 1.17. Another fastest lap there for Andrew Lemke, a 5.04, but a 2.95 for Trey Wright. And that might be because he was able to get a little bit of draft, a little bit of slipstream off of Andrew Lemke down that long front straightaway. 52.074 for Jesse Turner, though. He's got the fastest car on the track right now. Who's got the fastest lap overall? Let's find out. Is there anybody up inside the top 5? Nope. It's Nick Gunther, who right now is scored in 16th. He's the only driver that broke into the 51-second bracket, 51.976. Phil Parker, Jesse Turner, Matt Haas, and James Qualls. The top 5 in fastest speeds here today. No shock there that Nick Gunther's got the fastest lap. Nick Gunther, very good road course racer. Gap closed up by 7/100ths that time. But laps are ticking away for Trey Wright also, so he's got to hurry. Andrew Lemke again was faster than his previous laps. Trey Wright was not, and 51.9. Oh, well, did Nick Gunther just get passed for fastest lap? No, not quite. 55.990 for Jesse Turner, now second fastest lap set today, as he continues to close up the gap between himself and Trey Wright. And if he gets up to Trey Wright, the question then is, do those two battle for second, allowing Andrew Lemke to scamper away with the win? Or can the two of them work together to reel in the 12 car? Evans Gardner Motorsports has really had a struggling season. Andrew Lemke, Zachary Fitzwater, and Jackie Halleck. That team is the second lowest in the point standings of teams that took the green flag to start out the season at Daytona in the 500. 27th overall. And they have really needed something good to happen to them. Maybe it could happen here today with a victory, but that gap closed up a ton that last time by. Trey Wright just ran his fastest lap at 2:49, and it is less than 9/10 of a second. Lemke keeps flirting with that gravel line there off of the corner just before where the bus stop would be, right through the twist. Now look as Trey Wright has Jesse Turner in close proximity. Let's see what the gap is this time. Gonna be 5 laps to go. This thing is not over by a long shot. .84, cut to .81. Pretty much stationary there, but the gap from second to third closed up quite a bit. Turner all over Trey Wright. If Turner is going to bypass Trey Wright and get up there and battle Lemke, he's got to make this pass quick. He cannot waste time. It's going to have to be a move. That'll take maybe a couple of corners, and that's it. And Trey Wright slipped up. Turner's there to take advantage. Can he make the pass quickly here through the twist? Trey Wright off course again, and Turner will get the spot, I think, here through this corner. So Jesse Turner will have, I believe, now, 4 laps to be able to work with to try and reel in Andrew Lemke, and he was faster than the top 2 consistently for the last 5-6 laps. But what is the gap? How much time did he lose in making that pass on Trey Wright? The gap is going to be 1.4 seconds. Now it's all about getting back down to business, hitting your marks. Are 4 laps enough for him to be able to close the gap up? He is pulling away from Trey Wright as well. So can Turner get it done? Can he at least get up there with a shot at Andrew Lemke on the final lap? He's going to have to close up the gap, if my math's correct, by about 3.5 tenths of a second every single lap to be there on the final lap, unless Lemke makes a mistake. Looks like he is visibly closing. Either that or he's visibly gaining on Trey Wright. He might be doing both. Let's see what the lap time is this time for Andrew Lemke in regards to Jesse Turner. Does the gap stay the same? Does it increase? Does it close up? 1.42. This time by 1.02. He closed up by 4 tenths. That's on par with what he needs to get in order to be on the back bumper of Lemke. 3 laps to go. It was a 7.72 for Lemke last time by, a 3.75 by Jesse Turner. A full 4 tenths of a second gained. And the closer he gets, the more draft he's going to get off the 12 on the straights. You got that straight there through the twist, and you've got the long front straightaway. Both drivers looking not to put a wheel wrong. Not sure visibly there if Turner has closed up the gap or not. It looked almost the same, though he did drive it really deep there into that final right-hander. So he'll carry a lot of straightaway speed. Let's see if the gap closed. It's got to be down to about 8 tenths here if he's going to have a shot, and it's less than 8 tenths. 2 laps to go here at Lime Rock. Andrew Lemke looking for the first win of his career. First win for the 12 team this season. Jesse Turner looking for the first win of the season for him. I forgot how many wins he's got prior to today in his career, but he's up there in the top 10, I believe, in most all-time wins. Now looking for the second win of the season for this 47 car. Let's also remember, if Turner wins, this time I'm absolutely correct in this, if Turner wins, the 47's locked into the round of 6. Oh, I don't know if he's going to be close enough here on the final lap. He's going to need some couple of really good corners. The gap is going to be 3 tenths of a second. He's there, though. White flag was displayed for Andrew Lemke. Turner made the pass on Trey Wright through this area of the racetrack. He's on the back bumper of Lemke. Will he make the move? Or will he move him out of the way? Lemke's got to keep his eyes out the windshield. He can't worry about what's going on in the rearview mirror. That was a good corner there for Lemke. Opened the gap up a little bit. Jesse Turner going to have to be flawless through this particular corner and get a good run heading through this right-hander. I'm not certain he's close enough. I think Lemke, I think that was turn 4. That corner he made might have iced it. Turner may have a run here, though. He drives it a little bit lower out of the final turn. Looks to get the run, but he's not going to have enough straightaway. Andrew Lemke goes coast to coast. He's going to win here today at Lime Rock, his first career win in the Duracell Cup Series. And we are now 5 for 5 in non-playoff drivers taking the checkered flag here in the playoffs. Waiting for the rest of the field to complete their laps. Looks like Ryan Butcher, Matt Haas, Carson Gum, they still need to come around and take the checkered flag before the standings are official. But the first win of the season for the 12 team out of Evans Gardner Motorsports. And first career win for Andrew Lemke here today at Lime Rock Raceway. Had to really put up a fight there at the end against Jesse Turner. That was exciting there in the final couple of laps. But he holds on, gets the job done. Well done to him. Let's take a look at the finishing results now that should be official. Lemke with the victory. Turner will bring it home in second. The 47 team was third in points for the playoff standings, and they were 8 points ahead of the cut line. This is really going to put them in a good position going into next week. Trey Wright brings it home third. Patrick Smith there in fourth. That 77 team continues with their great runs, as they're going to have a pretty nice sizable gap back to the cut line as well. Same for the 09 team. So I don't know if it's too early to say, but the 47, 77, and 09, those teams may already be moving on to the round of 6 with the runs they've had not only this week, but last week as well. Great job by all of those 3 teams. Michael Wayne Robinson brings it home in 6th. Amanda Evans in 7th. Carter Friesen, 8th position. Charles Sanford. Didn't talk much about that 0-3, but he popped up into the top 10 late to get 9th. And Keith Batson will get the final spot in the 10th position. Austin LaPlante was 11th. Tim Walsh in 12th. Pedro Lucas, James Qualls, Cody Smart going to complete the top 15. Now, Cody Smart came into this race the cut line driver with a couple of guys ahead of him really struggling today. I think that they've now moved up into a playoff position, an advancing playoff position, and may have a bit of a cushion between themselves and that cut line. Question is, though, who is the cut line driver? It could be Matt Haas. It could be Ryan Butcher. Butcher finishing all the way back in 25th. Matt Haas 3 laps down in 27th. And then 2 drivers that needed good runs today. I think they're still behind the cut line. Dylan Poteet and Carson Gum, the 31 and the 19. They might be in must-win situations going into next week. However, the poor performances by the 8 and the 78 may give them a little bit of hope to still point their way into the round of 6. But a lot is going to depend on the events next week at Arizona Speedway. Jack Mitchell was the only driver that did not reach the conclusion after he went behind the wall roughly about 10 laps into this event, and he finishes in 29th. Let's take a look and see now. I believe that our calculators have been hard at work and have put together what the playoff points look like heading into next week's elimination race at Arizona, and here they are. As I suspected, the 09, the 47, the 77, those teams look really good with the points gap they've got above the cut line, but it is going to be very congested there of who's going to get those final few positions moving on to the round of 6 next week. Hope you guys will join us for that one, though, as we'll be at Arizona Speedway. Congratulations to Andrew Lemke, your winner here today, coast to coast at Lime Rock for his first career win in the Duracell Cup Series. If you guys enjoyed today's race, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We showed you your full video results, where you're showing you your playoff point standings. We'll see you guys next week at Arizona Speedway, as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the NNSCRA, offline racing at its best.